Join the movement of self-discovery and acceptance. This is where we strive for more satisfaction, success, and peace while eliminating doubt, frustration, and bitterness. Come along with me as we explore human design with real-life examples and permission to love yourself better. Are you ready to go? Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad to be back here with you talking about human design and working to make all of our lives easier. I don't know about you, but when I first got my chart, I couldn't understand anything about it. In fact, the more I looked at it, the more confused I got. So grab your chart and let's talk through all the things. If you don't have your chart or you need a fresh one, press pause and hop over to my website to download your free chart at laurabhip.com. And here we go. So first of all, a bodygraph or human design chart is like a user manual for living in alignment with our energy so we meet less resistance in life. It reflects the position of the stars and the planets the moment you were born, which is why your birth date, time, and place are needed for generating a chart. So when you look at your bodygraph or human design chart, you'll see numbers along the sides, shapes in the middle, numbers within those shapes, and lines connecting those numbers. So the numbers and the planets on the side. So on either side of the chart are numbers next to these astrological symbols. And the numbers on the right side represent where the stars or planets were when you were born. And these characteristics will be things you specifically can identify with or can see in yourself. The ones on the left are where the stars and planets were about 3 months before you were born. These numbers represent archetypes that will play out in a way that others will see them in you more than you'll see them in yourself, maybe, depending on how old you are and how introspective you've been. This is also where our ancestral traits live, as well as passed down trauma. You might also notice the arrows near the head area. These are some more advanced features that I'll talk about another day. Let's go to the centers. So the shapes that are in the center in the formation of the human body are called centers, and there are 9 of them in total. So starting from the top, you have a triangle that's called the head center. This is where ideas come into our life. Underneath that, you have the Ajna center. That's an upside down triangle. This is where we process our information. Below that is a square, and that is called our throat center. And as you can imagine, this is where we speak things into the world. Just below that is a diamond-shaped center, and that is called the identity center, or sometimes called the G center. This is where a lot of our love lives, love of self, things like that. Off to the right of that is a small sideways sort of triangle called the will center, and this is where our willpower lives. If we keep going off to the right of that, there's another triangle that's kind of pointing towards the center. This is called our emotional solar plexus. This is where our creativity lives. Now, if you follow that arrow towards the center of the chart, you'll see a square, and that is our sacral. This is where our life force energy is. And if you have this colored in, then you will definitely be a generator of some kind. We'll keep moving in that same direction, and off to the left of that is another triangle that points towards the center. This is your spleen, and this is where our fear lives. It's a very primal center. At the very bottom of these shapes is another square, and this is your root center, where our drive pulses on and off. If any of these centers are colored in, they are considered defined, and that means you are going to experience consistent access to that energy many times in a fixed way. And if any of them are uncolored or white, they are often called open or undefined. You'll experience the characteristics associated with these centers on an inconsistent basis and adapt to the energy around you exuded by others. You can also think of it as defined centers transmit energy and undefined centers or open centers receive energy. So let's move on to the gates and the channels. So now the numbers inside these centers are called gates. Gates are activated or defined based on those numbers I talked about earlier that are on the right and the left side of the chart. You might also notice the lines that connect one gate to another. These are called channels and represent a big theme of who you are or what you're here to experience. When a gate is activated, it highlights or colors in that half of the channel. If the gate at the other end of the channel is also colored in, then it will make the entire channel colored in. And if you remember from the centers, if something is colored in, it means that it's defined and you have consistent access to that energy. Well, when a channel is activated or defined, then it also makes the centers on each end of it colored in as well. This is how our defined centers are determined. What does all this mean? As you learn more about your chart, either through your own exploration or through working with me, you'll want to keep in mind that wherever you have activation, there is consistent energy and potential for mastery. Where you have openness or areas that aren't colored in, you'll have the potential to borrow or amplify others' energy in this area. You also want to pay attention to the great wisdom you'll gain from the experiences they will bring. So what do I look at first? The first thing in your chart you'll want to learn about and continue learning about is your type. There are 5 energy types in human design: manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. Your type is like your life's blueprint. It can provide a basic understanding of your strategy and your way of interacting with the world. Like, should you wait for invitations, respond to things that physically come to you, initiate things into action, or wait a full lunar cycle? It's also a good idea to look at your emotional themes for your energy type. Where it says your not self theme, you'll see either frustration, anger, bitterness, or disappointment. When you feel this emotion in your life, consider it a sign that you're out of alignment. Once you figure out where that's coming from, you can decide what to do about it and then move on. Likewise, you'll want to pay attention to your energy type's word or feeling for when you are in alignment. So focus in on when you feel satisfied, success, peace, or surprise. The more you notice when these show up, the more they actually will show up. The next thing I would look at is your authority. This is where decision-making lives. Can you imagine living a life where decision-making was easier? Man, on your chart, it will tell you what your authority is: emotional, sacral, splenic, ego manifested, ego projected, self-projected, or you may even have no inner authority. I've seen a lot of people act like they are discouraged by the kind of authority that it says in their chart. Don't make any judgments until you've learned more about it, and email me if you want to chat more about what that can look like in your life. Each type of authority has its unique way of guiding you to make decisions. Experiment with your authority, and I promise you things will get easier. Other elements that you might see are your profile, your incarnation cross, the placement of the planets in the bodygraph. Each of these elements bear its own significance and adds a layer of depth to your understanding of your design. As you can see, there's so much to explore in the chart, and once you dive in, you realize that there are always things you're learning about yourself. I'm constantly exploring nuances in my chart, rewriting old stories, and working toward alignment. Human design is a complex system, and it takes time to fully comprehend and integrate it into your life. It's like learning a new language that explains how you're designed to navigate through life. Start with understanding your type and authority, and then gradually explore the other elements. Every step you take in this exploration will lead you closer to understanding yourself and living a life that's in alignment with who you truly are. If you want a little help with interpreting your chart, book a one-on-one session with me at laurabhip.com. I'd love to celebrate you and your superpowers. Until next time, happy exploring. I'm so glad to connect with you today. Please follow the show, forward it to a friend, and leave a review. Send me an email with how human design has changed your life, and I might feature you on the show. Until we meet again, don't forget to love yourself better.